I'm EposVox. Welcome back to Stream Critique, our bi-weekly show, or at least trying to be bi-weekly show here, where I review your live streams and give you real, practical, tangible tips that don't really involve upgrading your gear to improve your live stream. You know, actually just working with what you have and making it a little better. What this show is all about, kind of contradictory to most of the gear review shows that I do on this YouTube channel here. This is episode 3 of Stream Critique, and this episode is, of course, as always, sponsored by Owned, our partner for all the streaming assets you could need to redesign your visual brand for your live stream, be it, stream banners, overlays, webcam frames, entire websites. We'll talk about them more in a little bit, but go to eposvox.gg/OWN3D to learn more. We have 2 streamers. You guys know the rules at this point. 2 streamers each episode. Form to apply to be featured in this show and get feedback is linked in the description down below. Go check that out. It's a Google form, requires a couple screenshots of your settings and things like that. Theme for this show. I've been trying to do different themes for each episode. Today's theme are streamers who are doing a pretty darn good job already, but just need, a couple little extra kicks to make it that much better. Because they're already they have all the basics down. They already know what they're doing. They just need to maybe do 1 or 2 things ever so slightly better. And that's what we're going to work on today in this episode. They both also happen to have, neon oriented themes. Only one of them is really targeting the 80s look, but both of them have neon themes of some sort, which is not the way to necessarily win my heart, even though I'm a neon fiend, but it was still cool regardless.
Yeet! Of course, I come up fucking short. Goodbye. He literally said, I will not fall.
So as mentioned, we're starting today with Noah, or Neat on the Rocks, who has a brilliant stream that mixes both music and chatting and video games and provides an all-around entertainment experience instead of someone who just kind of jumps in and grinds at a video game and then turns it off. This is something I talked about back in episode 2, in that if you really want to build a connection with your viewers and build an engaging live stream, you got to do more than just sit there and game for 12 hours and then log off, because people want to be entertained, they want to connect with you, and Noah does a pretty good job of that. His stream actually starts out brilliantly with the starting soon and be right back screen. He has a Logitech Brio, and we'll get to what he's using for everything else, but he has a webcam pointed at his neon signs and his saxophones, which creates this brilliant bokeh effect and just a nice blurred out background for those screens, and it looks phenomenal and kind of shows you kind of what he's about. And then cuts over to a really nice layout for his just chatting screen, where he spends, at least from what I can see, the first couple hours of every stream chatting with his viewers, listening to music, kind of DJing, providing, the intro entertainment value instead of just hopping into a game and focusing purely on that. And he also integrates the visualizer plugin and the album cover art plugin stuff that I covered in my OBS plugins video, and just creates this kind of entertainment experience. And then a couple hours later, once he's really gotten a groove with his viewers, he'll jump in game, mostly single player games or classics. Currently he's playing through the new Star Wars Fallen Jedi, or Star Wars Fallen Order, I believe is the name of the game. Don't quote me on that. Got a nice layout, a nice visual branding setup. His panels are pretty good. He's got really cool stinger transitions, and he spends most of his time with the focus on him and his engagement with his chat versus just, he's this tiny little thumbnail while he's playing a game, and I really appreciate that. And he will spend a lot of time, although a lot of the VODs keep getting muted as a result, playing and DJing music, finding music online, reacting to other videos online, and even doing some saxophone cover things of certain songs as well, which is pretty cool, and you don't see that very often. So I love seeing this, extra element added in here, and this is what I'm talking about he's already doing mostly a really, really, really good job, and that's pretty cool. Specs wise, his PC is a 9900K and a RTX 2080 Ti, so he's definitely rocking a high-end streaming rig. Nothing to really work on there. He primarily streams on PC stuff with the new NV Ink encoder, which makes sense, but he does say that he will use X264 Medium whenever he's streaming from a capture card for console games, just to, pump up that extra quality. So I like to see someone who will take the time to dedicate a different, streaming profile to different recording scenarios where it makes the most sense. And the only problem you may run into is just forgetting to change it back and then going to stream a PC game and getting all choppy. But you can either set up different profiles or just make a note for yourself to remember to check it based on what you are streaming. Always good there. He's got the Blue Ember microphone, which I reviewed not that long ago, run through the Go XLR, which seems to be a great combination. And then he has from my own recommendation, the Panasonic Lumix G7 camera. Brilliant camera, super cheap option for live streaming cams if you don't need don't need autofocus, which most people don't. He's actually rocking the kit lens with it though. So he has it at 14 millimeters at f3.5 and then 200 ISO. And he has talked about in some of his stream VODs that he's still trying to get lighting right and things like that, because honestly, a little bit, his face cam is a little darker than I would like. You could compensate for that by just cranking up the ISO. I actually think the native ISO of the G7 is 400, so cranking that up to 400 would help a lot, and then you can rebalance from there if you want to fine tune it, or if you did want to invest in another lens, which to each their own. I highly recommend using the Rokinon or Samyang 12mm lenses for Micro Four Thirds, as they can be f2.0, get you just that little extra bit of light that helps a lot to blow out your background and get enough light on your subject. And I've been using those for my G7 webcams extensively. It was on this one for a long time until I went to a ridiculous upgrade because I had extra kit. And then my streaming cam over in my retro room setup uses the Samyang 12mm f2 on a G7 as well. He's got two Elgato key lights as his main, face lighting, and then a newer LED 500 LED panel as his hair kicker light. I love to see that people put in the effort to get a hair kicker light, something I don't even do that often. I've actually switched my lighting directions for this setup. So I have a window sort of coming in here to fill this a little bit in, so I'm a little bit less contrasty, but whatever. And then he uses Stream Elements with OBS Live as well. And that covers all of the spec settings. He does stream at 6 megabits per second. Pretty good. 1080p downscaled from 1440 is kind of whatever, but for the most part, his settings and everything look good. Now, I did mention that these are streams that are doing well, but still have room to improve. It doesn't really do a whole lot of good other than showing, I guess there is value in showing like people who are doing it right already, but I still want to provide tips to improve. And there's a couple things here that I could see improving immediately, such as he has a pop filter on his Blue Ember, but he has it lowered to the point where he's talking above it. And I actually I make this mistake a lot, and I've finally broken that habit with my desktop mic, which is, that was a gnarly sound. The RE320 right here is what I've been using right now. Best out-of-box sound for a dynamic microphone you can get from Electro Voice right there. But what I always end up doing is lowering it too much so that I'm talking over it, and then I still get plosives. And I noticed in some of his streams, he's still getting plosives, and that's because he has the mic lowered to where it's kind of, below his mouth. And then as he talks into it, especially when he gets up close on it, most of his breath and stuff is kind of curving over the mic and over the pop filter, still hitting that capsule instead of being diffused by the pop filter, which is causing more plosives than he would otherwise have. So I recommend kind of making sure that, your mouth is even with the pop filter and not above it as much as possible, as that makes a world of difference. As I'll keep reminding everybody, audio quality is 99.9% about physics and positioning and, technique, not about your specific gear choices. Now, he does have a brilliant neon theme going with colored lighting and neon signs and things like that, and I wholly approve of this. But I really think a next step, especially given how entertainment and kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but just like mood focused his streams are, I would actually recommend implementing some sort of colored lighting that you can change on the fly. Either when you go to the BRB scene, you go and flip some switches, or if you do want to invest or already have, either RGB strips that you can control with a remote, or something like LifeX bulbs that you can control with your phone, and thus, if this, then that, and then your stream deck, something along those lines, so that when you're changing scenes to your gaming scene versus your moody streaming scene, or your just chatting scene, you actually change the mood lighting a bit to kind of change the feeling of the stream, and I think that could go a long way to further enhancing the effect that he's already going for. Now, I did notice when he ends his streams, he seems to turn off his Elgato key lights, and he does a little bit more DJing while he's in the dark as kind of like a cool down phase. But adding in, changed color lighting, maybe going from bright colors to, more toned down blues and things like that, would really help to kind of adjust your viewers to the tone that you're going for that specific segment of a stream. I also noticed he started one of his streams eating some pizza, and while I'm a big fan of pizza, I am completely uncomfortable watching other people eat. I know that that's a whole category on Twitch, and to each their own. If that's a user preference, if they want to stream it or do it or whatever, that's fine. I'm not here to tell people not to do it, but personally, I could not even watch that section of the VOD, and I certainly wouldn't stick around for a stream of it, so it's one of those things that could be off-putting to viewers, especially if they're a weirdo like me, so just keep that in mind, I guess. Oh yeah, one other thing, they have all of their visual overlays and their graphics and things like that set to a neon, theme, but then their alerts still seem to be a previous package or an unrelated package or just a default alert system. And that's kind of disappointing to see because it pops up and it looks nothing like anything else and it's not really integrated into it. So I always like to see a little bit more unification there as well. Before we get to streamer number 2, we need to talk about our sponsor for this series, Owned. Owned is your one-stop shop for everything you need for your streaming branding. Avatars, banners, stinger transitions, webcam overlays, alerts. You can build a website with them, which is just bonkers. You can get social media graphics. You don't just get your Twitch graphics that don't match your social graphics that don't match your desktop background. You can get desktop backgrounds. You can get everything you need to create a unified, high-quality visual branding for your stream that matches your personality. And it's really cool. And they even have a web video player where you can actually preview in real time what that would look like if you were using it in your stream, so you don't download it and realize that it didn't look exactly like you wanted. You can test everything out on the fly, and it's pretty freaking cool. They always have great sales running and discounts and things like that, and you can use my affiliate link at eposvox.gg/OWN3D to let them know I sent you and keep supporting this show, as always, because they're a recurring sponsor making this show happen. Go check them out. Link in the description. On to the next contestant.
Oh, damn! Daxity, what are you doing, man? You didn't have to go doing that. Appreciate you gifting those subs. Let's welcome GFG Shoppy. I am Sorrow, Dashing Dots. And who else we got? We got Buddy. And this guy trying to interrupt me. We got Bunny on a Bender and Slurms McKenzie. Welcome to the Data Runners, everybody.
So next up, we have DataTV, who is another streamer who has a neon and kind of 80s theme look with a couple different of those kinds of theme packages put together, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but overall creates a kind of engaging live stream where his personality is really on show. He's always wearing the bandana, he's always into it, and is doing a pretty good job overall. Specs wise, he's rocking an 8700K and a GTX 1080 in his gaming PC, and then in a stream PC, he's got a 6700K with the AverMedia Live Gamer 4K, and then he's using the Elgato green screen with a Sony a6000 camera with the Camlink 4K. Lighten that up for some nice green screen stuff. His green screen isn't perfect, his headphones still kind of get keyed out a little bit and he fades a little bit into the background, but it's definitely not the worst I've seen, and overall it looks pretty good, especially once he's dropped into the corner for his gameplay. However you may feel about using green screens for game streaming, he's not doing a terrible job at it. He streams primarily first-person shooters, sometimes RPGs. His main game right now is Escape from Tarkov, which is very hard to stream in high quality, but he's not doing a terrible job at it. He's using one of my favorite value microphones, like when we're talking about the value you get per dollar. Not necessarily a budget microphone, but the Rode Procaster, which you can get for like $200 or less, and it competes with the big boys, the Electro Voices, the Shure SM7Bs. It's a dynamic microphone, looks and sounds really nice. Always great, happy to see that. And then he's got a Cloudlifter CL1 with it to give it extra juice from his Behringer's NX1204 USB mixer, which is okay. Pretty good setup there. He's got a nice just chatting screen where he's completely blown up on the screen, got a nice little arcade background showing whatever he's talking about, reacting to chat, spending some time engaging with chat, which I always like to see. Sometimes he'll cut to another camera angle where he's showing his entire setup just to kind of talk about what he has going on. Love that. I want to see more streamers doing multiple different things in their stream, not just sitting in one place playing a game. Look at these two people, keep doing what Data and Neat on the Rocks are doing by all means. Got nice transitions, nice overlays, nice graphics. There is a little bit of a mismatch with them. He's got a couple different themes of his overlays and his graphics going on, which means the colors aren't perfectly matched. His fonts are kind of all over the place. They're all still within like the broader theme of what he's going for, but you know, they're not exactly the same. It does feel a little weird. Some of them sometimes are just kind of not in sync with one another, and that can be a little weird to see. So maybe tidy that up. Even just making the fonts the same would help a little bit, even if the colors aren't going to perfectly match, although you could use some of the color grading features in OBS to kind of shift one towards the other or what have you. His alerts are on point, you know, one of my favorite theme packages, so I always love to see that. And I did want to point out that his camera is facing the right direction. He's got kind of a side camera going, but he's facing into the frame instead of out of the frame. That was one of the things I talked about in the first episode of Stream Critique, and you can see it being done right here. But he's doing one thing very wrong with his pop filter as well, an unintentional theme between both creators apparently. He has what appears to be the BSW Repop, which is the pop filter I have here. It's primarily made for the Electro Voice mics and for the, the High LPR 40. It's a $60 pop filter. It's super expensive, but really good and custom built for these kind of microphones. And it for the most part fits on the Rode Procaster as well. However, he has it installed completely wrong because the pop filter is literally, like, it looks like it's completely touching the mic, the top of the microphone, at what point the pop filter doesn't do anything. The pop filter is designed to have a couple inches from your mouth and a couple inches from the top of the microphone in order to have enough room for air to pass through, be diffused out, and disperse around the mic capsule, which is why you usually see them installed in a specific position, because this is designed for this microphone, so it has a specific, I can fit almost my 2-finger, thickness between the pop filter and the microphone. That's how much it's supposed to be. He has his completely right on top of it, and at that point, the pop filter is likely not doing anything. And I used to see this all the time with the Blue Yetis and things like that with the big fly swatter pop filters. They basically just have it like wrapped around the microphone or just sitting right on top of it. It's not really doing anything for you at that point. And so I would recommend pulling that up a little bit so that you get a little bit of a gap, as that helps your mic technique as well, but we'll make sure the pop filter is actually doing its job. So next steps for DataTV. He's already got a lot of personality and branding going on, but I do think there's a next level he could go to. I do think I'd like to see a little bit more of the, presenting things other than gameplay moments, or going through capturing some replays or highlights of your game as you're playing using the replay buffer in OBS, or having your viewers, with a fun command and some sort of reward system for it, do it in chat, and then reviewing those at the end of your stream or during a break of your stream, and reacting to sick moments during your live stream would be really freaking cool. And I'd like to see you do something about some sort of, I don't know exactly what the solution would be for you, because otherwise it might seem like you're ripping off Dr. Disrespect, but some sort of thing where you kind of change how you look during certain intense moments of the stream. Like whenever you have the night vision goggles up, pull up some face tracks, or just like a PNG overlay of night vision goggles over you as you're playing, so that it looks like you're actually doing it. You can set it up with like a stream deck or a hotkey to flip it on and off, something like that, where you're having like different moments in the game, because it can be pretty slow paced, but also really intense. And there's different, chapters of battle royale games are very like story driven. It's your progression from 0 to this point, and there's always like specific moments and paths that you take. So if you have some sort of reflection in you, in the way that you're presented as far as what you're doing, like if you're spending a lot of time crawling around the mud, get some like, under eye black paint things going on, something like that, or either full on face rig, having completely different characters, like even with your bandana intact, drawn over you as you're doing certain scenes, would do a lot to really just kind of add a little bit more character and mix it up a little bit. Or if you could somehow during specific scenes, change the color of your bandana or something, you could do that with like selective filtering or something. Would be pretty cool and just give you that extra next step of production quality, because both of these streamers in today's episode already had the like main level of production quality required for a successful stream. They're doing a good job. But this is how you, start taking it to the next weird level to really just kind of be something more unique and to be that much more attractive to your viewers in terms of value, like production value and engagement and things like that. So that's it for episode 3 of Stream Critique. 2 streamers who are already doing a good job, but could take it to the next level and really be something different. And 2 streamers who need to use a pop filter a little bit better. Just a tiny bit. They're not doing anything like truly egregious whatsoever. And 2 streamers who like a little bit of neon branding, which is always going after my own heart. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support on this series. This has been a blast so far, and I can't wait to share more with you as I get back into the swing of things. The holiday week and me being behind on things and Black Friday and stuff meant I could not actually get this up last week when it was supposed to go up, so I've just kind of delayed things. Streamer news will be next Friday, of course, as always. Go check that out. I'm EposVox. Go check out both streamers featured in today's video, linked in the video description. I'm EposVox, here to make tech easier and more fun, your stream professor or something. I'll see you next time.